55 consecutive days in Portland, Oregon. This has nothing to do with racism, nothing to do with police brutality, and everything to do with trying to burn down a federal courthouse. And so the President of the United States has acted responsibly. We have Jed Johnson on MSLSD today, worked for the Obama administration, that this smells like politics, secret police deployment. Maxine Waters, who's mentally unstable, a very sick woman. Trump's secret police, a trial run. We have the former Republican National Committee Chair Michael Steele, loathsome, on MSNBC. Trump wants to appease white people by sending in federal agents. God, what a... Scarborough still claims Portland is filled with peaceful protesters. Now, he does that from his home in Jupiter, Florida, but he's not going to Portland to check it out like Ami Horowitz and others. It's shocking. Lawrence O'Donnell, an unhinged moron on MSLSD, like the rest of the freak show that is that lineup, blames federal police for riotous behavior in Portland. Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi during the press conference. Again, she refers to U.S. police in Portland as stormtroopers. Joe Biden today. Trump is spreading racism, and it's sickening. Hillary Clinton today. You cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for. John Sig Heilman on the Morning Joe. Again, is there anybody who doesn't think Trump might impose martial law in November? Tara Setmeyer, a CNN commentator. Trump's entire career displays racism. It's just on and on and on every single day. The Democrats, the Democrat Party media, the tenured Marxist professors, the contributors, the guests, it is a drumbeat. The question is whether you're going to buy into all this. Not you, but you know who. You see what's going on in Portland. We have eyewitnesses. We have citizen reporters there. If Joe Scarborough is going to say Portland's peaceful, why doesn't he go out to Portland and check it out? Why doesn't he and his lovely wife, Mika Blazinska, why don't they go over there, leave their comfortable estate in Jupiter, Florida, and head over there? How come there's really no in-person reporting between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. in the morning in Portland from any of these major newsrooms? Very little, in fact. Why don't they go out there? Like the mayor of Portland went out there and he tried to talk to his people and they booed him down and called him curse words and yelled at him. The mayor of Portland, who is a Marxist agitator, goes in with the violent crowd and winds up getting tear gas. And then his special protection has to pull him out. How many of you think it's okay to use hammers, bricks, rocks, spears, the most powerful fireworks available, against police officers and a courthouse to try and pull off the plyboard off the windows that's there to protect, or to breach a temporary fence that surrounds the courthouse to protect it? How many of you think that's okay? How many of you think you would get away with that? Try and paint over a Black Lives Matter sign in the street in New York or Washington, D.C. They'll throw you in jail immediately. Immediately. So what's happening here is there's two types of justice. The rioters, the looters, the arsonists, the Marxists, the traitors, the Democrats, they're fine. Special bail reform where they never get held more than a few minutes. They're fine. And then the rest of us. If you own legally, constitutionally, a weapon and you go out on your own private property because people are threatening you, well, in St. Louis, you're going to be prosecuted. If you're a police officer in one of our cities and you're trying to defend a monument or a building or other people, and in 2020 vision, some leftist prosecutor funded and elected by George Soros and others wants to make an example out of you of using too much force, you'll be prosecuted. Tell me, do you think Antifa and Black Lives Matter and these Marxists, you think they care about headlocks when they're using lasers to blind police officers? Oh, excuse me, the Gestapo, stormtroopers, the secret police, This is what all these Democrats are calling these patriots. And then there's Michael Steele. Just awful. I guess he forgets what Schumer and his staff did to him. I guess he forgets what MSNBC used to say about him, but he gets a paycheck from these people now. Cut 3, go.
I know from Maryland to Massachusetts to California to Florida, all across this country, governors, whether they're Republican or Democrat, would not welcome the kind of approach this president is taking. And not only does it set up the obvious constitutional problems between the 10th and the 14th Amendment.
All right, let's stop. First of all, you're an ignoramus. The 10th Amendment? Tell me, when was the last time the 10th Amendment was used? The 14th Amendment, due process, equal protection? You're not even citing the right parts of the Constitution. It has nothing to do with the conflict between the 10th and the 14th Amendments. What has the President of the United States done? He's used the existing framework that's been in existence since the Civil Rights era and the Civil Rights riots, the Vietnam War riots. So he didn't create this legal foundation. That's number one. If he brings in the military under the Insurrection Act, that was passed in 1807 and has been used by dozens of presidents of the United States. And there's two different situations. What's going on in Portland is an Insurrection Act possibility. What's going on in Chicago is the expansion of an existing platform where legal entities work with each other. Now the mayor of Chicago has actually welcomed it. So what is he even talking about? He's an ignoramus. Trump hasn't done anything out of the ordinary. In other words, he's done nothing extraordinary. He's trying to manage this from a federal perspective. He's getting advice from the best lawyers in the country at the United States Department of Justice. They're the ones in charge. The Department of Homeland Security is in charge. They're getting advice from career civil servants, as they always do. And yet they paint him as a racist and violating the Constitution. Go ahead.
And Lord knows what else. But the idea that the federal government is going to come in and do something over and above what the local officials, the mayor, and of course the governor and state officials are already doing speaks to their individual sovereignty, speaks to how they manage and run their cities. So
I'll tell you what, Michael Steele would have been on the side of the Confederacy, I suppose. I guess he's not aware of the post-Civil War America. He's making the case of nullification. He's making the case that sanctuary cities are fine. He's making the case of breakaway cities, breakaway states. He's making the case that citizens are not citizens of the United States, which Madison insisted and Lincoln insisted. He's ignoring existing federal law. He's ignoring the United States Constitution. He is a complete what? Moron. I'll keep it at that. What a dummy. I'll be right back. That in order to be popular on MSNBC, in order to be asked back, in order to get paid, he needs to make outrageous statements like this. Go.
It's not the case in Portland. It's certainly not the case in Chicago. And what the president is doing is stoking a law and order meme to appease not those folks, but to appease those white citizens who look at these places, these largely black and brown cities, these urban centers, and says, oh, my God, we've got to do something, Mr. President. And he's like, I'm here to the rescue.
You are a dumb SOB. You know that? You are a dumb SOB. And that whole group that sits there every damn morning, a bunch of dumb SOBs. From Scarborough on down. Zig Heilman. This guy Steele. There are people suffering in these cities. And to play a race card like this? These are the real racists, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Scarborough. Michael Steele, Zig Heilman, they're the racists. Did you hear one word of compassion about what's taking place in these cities where a large number of minorities live? Did you hear one word of compassion for law enforcement, including men and women who are minorities in law enforcement, have a hell of a tough job? Did you hear one word of compassion from Michael Steele about any of the people who are slaughtered day in and day out in these cities? One word. Not a word. And you'll not hear it on MSNBC. And you'll not hear it on CNN. Even these damn mayors show no compassion for their own people in their own communities who they're supposed to represent. Ocasio-Cortez is very upset. She alleges that Congressman, what is his name? That the Congressman Yoho from Florida said some outrageously nasty things about her. Did she speak up once? And he denies most of it. Did she speak up once? When Tlaib was trashing Jews? No. Did she speak up once? When Omar was trashing Jews? Not in the least. Did she speak up once when Donald Trump was called Hitler? Not once. My God, the world must come to an end. Forget about the burning and the slaughter. Forget about the efforts to destroy our country from her ilk on the radical Marxist left. No. It's hurtful words, not looting, not arson. I could care less what they call each other, what they do to each other. I could care less what they do on Capitol Hill. And the news media is all over. My God. Oh, what a selective moral outrage, right? Oh, my God. Did you hear what she alleges he said? Now, there's no witness to what she says he said. I don't even care. Witness, no witness. We got federal police officers in Portland, 3 of them who might be blind, and I don't even see a story on this on cable TV. Nothing. But MSNBC is the racist network, the bigoted network. CNN, too. To make this comment, stoking a Law and Order meme. Now, ladies and gentlemen, do you think the President of the United States is creating a meme in trying to deal with massive violence in this country? He's dealing with a meme, or is he dealing with real-life human beings who are suffering? And a meme to appease not those folks in the cities, but those white citizens who look at these places, these largely black and brown cities, these urban centers, and say, oh, my God, we've got to do something, Mr. President. And he's like, I'm here to the rescue. What a sick bastard. You punk. Feel happy to... You can call into this show, punk. Make comments like this. Shocking. And Joe Scarborough, from his estate in Jupiter, commenting on what's going on around the world. And then when he goes off the air, he's like, well, I won't say. Listen to him. Cut 4, go.
2 things can be true at once. These can be deeply troubling, disturbing rallies, are attacks against rallies, against peaceful protests for the most part.
Oh, another one with the peaceful protests for the most part. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Scarborough has not been there. Does he talk to people who've been there, who aren't politicians? Has he talked to Ami Horowitz? Has he talked to citizen reporters who are getting their brains kicked in there? No, he does not. He just came back from a mental health vacation. Obviously, the vacation was too short. Go ahead.
The seizing of Americans off the streets by unmarked police officers thrown into
Whoa. The seizing of Americans off the streets by unmarked police officers. Now think about how stupid that is. Most FBI agents who are males wear suits. Most are females wear pantsuits or dresses. They don't have special FBI uniforms for most FBI agents. Most police detectives do not wear uniforms with the words emblazoned police detectives. Most of them wear suits. Or again, if they're female, pantsuits or dresses. We have all kinds of people in law enforcement who don't have special suits. Now, as for pulling people off the streets and kidnapping them, can Joe Scarborough tell us exactly who was pulled off the street and kidnapped? Can he tell us where they're being held? I assume there hasn't been a court date. And I assume that if there has been a court date set, an arraignment or something of that sort, it's public because they're all supposed to be public. So specifically, who is Joe Scarborough talking about? It must be happening on a massive scale because this is their meme. Who are the people being pulled off the street in secret in unmarked cars? And by the way, most FBI vehicles are unmarked. Many federal law enforcement vehicles are unmarked. Now, can you imagine, this guy's such a low IQ spaghetti head. Can you imagine driving into a mob of a couple thousand Antifa Marxists who are using lasers and frozen water bottles and bricks and very powerful firecrackers and spears and hammers and all the rest? Can you imagine marching in like redcoats? It's like, hey, we're with the FBI. FBI. See that? It's on our shirt. FBI. And here we are in our vehicle. See, it says FBI. What do you think would happen to those men and women? What do you think would happen to those men and women? So what they're really upset about is that law enforcement is conducting itself in a way where it can actually do its job. No. Instead, they're supposed to be piñatas for these pukes dressed up in black with black umbrellas covering their faces, trying to burn down a federal courthouse. And by the way, Portland is not largely black and brown, is it, Mr. Producer? We'll look into this. I thought it was largely white with some black and brown. Since we're getting into, paint by the numbers around here. Much like Joe Scarborough's broadcast. Mostly white with a few speckles of black and brown from time to time. You bring in suckers like Michael Steele, who've sold their souls. They've lost all credibility of any kind, now with the race baiting. Go ahead.
Vans and whisked away with the police not having probable cause. And at the same time...
Now, Joe Scarborough has decided from his mansion in Jupiter that all the way across the country in Portland, people are being whisked away without probable cause. Which individual is he talking about? I don't know. Well, did you check the court records? They're all public. So, people aren't being whisked away without probable cause. Yes, they're unmarked cars, I suspect, and federal officials who are not necessarily dressed up as soldiers. And on the one hand, you can hear, what are they doing dressed up in camouflage? What are they doing dressed up in riot gear? What are they doing dressed up as a SWAT team? And then it's, what are they doing dressed up as? Well, people not announcing themselves, not wearing the proper uniforms. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. We all know what's going on here, ladies and gentlemen. The never-Trumpers, the Democrats, the media, the same people with the Russia hoax, the same people pushing a coup, the same people pushing an unconstitutional impeachment, the same people who wanted a third term for Obama or a first term for Hillary, who want Joe Biden in office, whether he has a 2 IQ or a negative 50 IQ, doesn't matter to them. They are not only supporting the rioters, they are giving them aid and comfort. These are all Democrats. These rioters are Democrats, and their character assassins in the media are Democrats or never-Trumpers. And they are creating an uncivil society where we had a civil society. And the slow-talking, moronic Joe Scarborough, the little boy on the bridge of the movie Deliverance, grown up to be the little boy on the bridge of the movie Deliverance, Joe Scarborough, he's got it all figured out. All figured out. And so I want to know who's been whisked away, kidnapped by secret police, by stormtroopers, by Gestapo. I want to know their names. I want to know if they went to court. I want to know what happened. And Joe Scarborough has a responsibility to find out, since he's the one throwing these terms around. But he won't. He won't look into it. Because he's a walking, talking hemorrhoid. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.